You might be wondering how I even found out about my DID. Because, like, at the beginning of my life, for like ever, I thought that my voices were my conscience telling me, like, right from wrong and stuff. And I mean, how do you explain that to somebody, especially like a psychiatrist? And also, how does a psychiatrist explain to you that that's not true and that that's not normal? So, let me tell you the story. I was seeing this therapist for a little over a year, and she functioned under the belief that trauma caused all kinds of dissociation for everybody, and that everybody functioned on a dissociative continuum, and that's just her way of understanding trauma and helping people through trauma. Well, she was trying to get me to find my authentic self, and she drew out this like little chart with like little bubbles and stuff, and she was like, well, let's find your authentic self. And she was like explaining different parts of myself, and me having DID, I was thinking she was talking about my alters, and that she was explaining to me that everybody has this. And I was like, why is this woman talking to me about this? Because this is something that nobody's ever talked out loud to me about, but I just knew that everybody had it in their heads, because I mean, why would I be the only one that had it? So it was just kind of like being confronted with something that I was just really uncomfortable talking about at that point. So I went home and I Googled parts of myself. I searched about that on YouTube, and the entropy system popped up. What up? And she has a video where it's how alters are created. I'll link it in the description. And it was the exact same chart that my psychiatrist had drawn. Sorry, it was the same chart my therapist drew. Found a different psychiatrist, and I just stopped going to therapy altogether because I didn't want anyone to like know me that well, because I was freaked out. And then I found a new psychiatrist after all my medication ran out, and I kind of briefly explained what my old diagnoses were, and I just kind of explained kind of what I was dealing with as far as not knowing about dissociation. I didn't explain that I thought I had dissociative identity disorder, but I thought that I was dissociating, kind of. And my new psychiatrist was like, well, this is a really rare thing, so you probably don't have it. Let me send you some articles about it. And I was like, oh, thank God. And at this point, I was in the middle of a severe depression. I had been in bed for 3 months, just kind of sleeping and not really going out with my friends. I was like, just hoping that this psychiatrist was going to tell me I'm schizophrenic or something, because they have meds for that. There's no meds for dissociative identity disorder, but there's meds to get the voices out of your head if you're schizophrenic. So I was like, yes, thankfully he doesn't think I have dissociative identity disorder. Maybe I just have schizophrenia. He sent me a bunch of articles about dissociation and schizophrenia and all kinds of different things that it could be, asking me to read over all of these articles and see if any of it pops out to me, and see if I think that any of them could be me. And I read over the articles for like days and days and days, and I really didn't feel like any of them screamed me. So I went back the next month extremely discouraged, and I almost quit seeing him too, because I just was determined to go find a psychiatrist that was going to tell me I didn't have DID. But then I went and started seeing my therapist again, Oh wait, no, I forgot to say. After like 3 months of not texting her, I texted her and asked her if she thought I was DID. And she sent me this really vague text message back that she didn't know, but she thought that everybody functioned on a dissociative continuum, and that she knows I'd been through a lot of trauma. And so it was just this vague, like, she doesn't know, but she can't answer one way or the other. And it really freaked me out. And so I went another 3 months. So this is now 6 months without any therapy. And I'm just rolling around in bed, super depressed. I've been seeing a psychiatrist for 3 months. And the psychiatrist is starting to say, okay, I think you have DID, but we don't want to diagnose you because this is a serious diagnosis, and it takes a while for someone to actually be able to say, yes, you have DID. But all the boxes are checking off. And so they're like, let's just treat you as if you do have DID. And if something changes, we'll just stop that. At this point, I was like, I don't want to have DID, but whatever y'all think is best for my mental health, whatever. I just don't want to be in bed anymore. So we go on to month 7, and he gives me some paperwork about dissociative identity disorder. I start doing a little bit more research and looking at it a little differently, from a different perspective. And I start thinking maybe I do have it. And then we go on to month 8, and I have a little more information about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to think that I do have it, maybe a little bit, because I start asking all my friends about, the things that go on inside their heads, and if their thoughts sound like them, or if it sounds like someone else when they think, and stuff like that. And the answers I'm getting just aren't the same things that I think, and aren't the same things that go on inside my head. And so then I decide to go talk to my therapist again. I make another appointment with her, and at this point I haven't seen her in like 8 months. And I see her, and I just tell her everything that happened, everything I just told you. And she gives me a test that it's a dissociation test. And if you score 31 or higher, it's likely that you have dissociative disorders. And anything higher than like 40 something, it's likely that you have dissociative identity disorder. And my score was, I think, 58. And so that means that I'm not only dissociating regularly, but pretty severely. And so she started talking to me about my results, and I just started crying, because I'm like, I thought that it was going to come back like, oh no, see, it was all in your head. But then it was the exact opposite. And then also, I tell her that, like, I was trying to sway the test. Like, I was trying to make it sound less severe on the test, so like the score probably would have been higher. Now I'm in therapy again with the same therapist. The only thing that I wish people understood is that we don't make evil alters like Hollywood would suggest. It's like, why would I make an alter that would be abusive when the whole point of me making these alters is to save me from being abused and protect me from abusive people? So the whole nature of this disorder is a really creative protection plan, basically. So why would I put myself around more abusive people when I'm trying to protect myself from being around abusive people?